Board of Selectmen's meeting September 10th at 6:30 p.m. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public announcement starting down the end.
I do. The Abington Public Library is pleased to welcome back historian Dr. Gary Highlander. On Thursday, September 27th at 7 p.m., Dr. Highlander will share his knowledge and insights about the Korean War. The three-year conflict is sometimes called America's Forgotten War, as news coverage was scanty, and the war has been seen as overshadowed in history by World War II and the Vietnam War. The conflict lasted from 1950 to 1953, and more than 36,000 Americans were killed on the Korean Peninsula. Dr. Highlander will discuss the details of the war itself and its ongoing impact on United States foreign policy from the Cold War through today.
Thank you. Tim?
I have two.
Birthday?
No birthdays this month. Oh, geez, my wife's, but no.
You better say it now.
It already passed.
Okay.
Curly, come join us at the Knights of Columbus for Curly's Cornhole for a Cause tournament. It will be on Saturday, September 15th. We will be raising money for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. The entry fee is $25 per person. That will enter you into the double elimination tournament. There will be pizza and salad and DJ entertainment provided by the one and only Absolute Sound. Cash prizes for winning team, best team name, door prize, and raffles. Registration will begin at 1 p.m. and the first toss will be at 2 p.m. They play rain or shine because they can move it inside if necessary. Any questions, call or email Sarah Gannon or Maura Gannon. The other one is South Shore Writers Club. In its 25th year of existence, the South Shore Writers Club will hold its first meeting of the 2018-2019 season on Saturday, September 8th at the Abington Library from 10:15 to 12:30. New members are encouraged to join. For more information, contact the club's coordinator, Teresa Mascarenas, via email at tmascarenas57@gmail.com.
Thank you. Tom?
All right. Sunday, September 16th, 2018, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., there will be a craft fair at the Abington High School and Middle School. It's the 39th annual Fall and Christmas Abington Music Parents Craft Fair. Again, New Abington High School, Middle School, here on Glenowitz Way, and they will have over 80 crafts on display. So please attend.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, you have a important announcement?
A belated happy birthday to Tim Chapin's wife, thank you.
Yeah. Yay. She doesn't watch anyway, so she won't.
I don't want to start any rumors like surrounding towns. Save the date. Abington Rotary Club is having their annual charitable auction on September 22nd, 2018, 7 p.m. That's at the Abington KFC. They have a wine and cheese table, silent and live auction, something for everyone. I've been the last couple of years, and it's great. I got Bruins tickets, and actually this year they have an autographed Mookie Betts baseball that they're going to have up for auction. So that should raise some money, and that money for that actually, they've been gracious enough. That's going to go for the fireworks next year. So that's it. One more public announcement, if we could. The fire chief would like to make an announcement, and then we'll go to the regular agenda after that. Chief Nuttall.
Thank you. Public announcement as well as an update on two capital expenses, if I could indulge just a couple more minutes on that. The Abington Fire Department is pleased to announce that we were successful in being awarded an additional FEMA Federal Assistance to Firefighters grant in the amount of $75,000. We just received this a couple of weeks ago. This grant will be used to purchase some heavy rescue and vehicle extrication equipment, the Jaws of Life. It's a new type of tool. These are cordless hydraulic tools, they're called. In your packets that I forwarded to the town manager, you may see a couple of photographs of what they look like. They're like the Jaws of Life, but the newer ones that are coming now, they're cordless, they're battery operated, they're still hydraulic. And believe it or not, they're actually stronger and more powerful than the older type, with the hose and the power unit that was with it. They're much lighter and easier to maneuver. This will allow the fire department to purchase a couple of combination cutter spreaders, rams which extend the dashboard up in the likely event we have to do that, as well as a set of cutters. It also includes a complete set of heavy lift airbags, which we can either lift vehicles or any heavy object off of anybody who may be trapped, as well as some cribbing, which is a fancy word for blocks of, used to be wood, now it's plastic, to keep any biohazards from getting into them. The whole complete set is about $75,000 and will outfit the entire department. I also included in your packet, this is the latest grant. These are very competitive, and they've actually gotten more competitive. We applied for this last year. We didn't get it. We kind of tweaked it. We looked at it again. We're very fortunate. We have Captain Glenn, one of our fire captains, who really has a knack and a talent for writing these grants. The total amount of grants since 2011 is about $1.4 million that we've been able to bring in for the town of Abington between equipment and personnel with the SAFER grant. So we're very proud of that. I again applaud Captain Glenn's efforts on what he has done to enable us to get these competitive grants. We're actually running out of categories to apply for. So this may be one of the final grants we're able to get in a while. And he's really brought us up to speed.
I see a picture of a fire truck. Are you going to get a grant?
I'm going to talk about that, too. I wish.
That would be nice.
So that was the first public announcement. The other two, briefly, just a quick update on some of the capital items that were voted, fortunately, to us at the last town meeting in May. And again, I thank the residents for that. Both stations have the brand-new emergency generators in place. The old equipment has been removed. Both stations at this point are now fully powered, and they have sufficient power. Because prior to that, neither station was fully powered, and we really were underpowered with the generators that we had. So I know there's a hurricane coming. Hopefully it's going to stay to the south this week. But we do feel that we're prepared in the event we get any more adverse weather that we had last year. They're all done. We've had a busy summer at the fire station, and those were in place about 2 weeks ago. They also came in about 50 cents under budget, so we're proud of that. The last report is on Engine 4. Again, we had a sum of $600,000 voted for a new pumping engine, which is a massive amount of money. I wish I could control that cost, but that's actually on the low end. With the ability of the grants that we have won, I actually probably should have requested 650 or 700. However, because we won these grants and we have a lot of newer equipment, we're able to keep the cost of equipping the engine down. Right now, we have awarded Ferrara fire apparatus out of Louisiana. That's the same manufacturer that built Tower 1. We're about 290 days out before we're going to see the vehicle. It has to be built. It is a large engine, meaning there's a lot more compartment space on this engine than the traditional engines that we had. It does fit in the station. It's going to give us almost twice the compartment space that the other engines have, with the same amount of hose, water, pump, and foam space that we carry. There is a picture of that as well. It's a small picture. I have a bigger one if you want it. But that engine should be coming, and we're proud of that. And again, we thank everybody for those votes. And we got that price in. This is also under budget, barely, but it is under budget. We still have a little bit of wiggle room on this if we have to tweak anything, especially with that new equipment, because it comes in at a perfect time that we can outfit this engine and build the special compartments and holders for that new equipment. So we're in great shape with that. So thank you very much, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for the chief?
Congratulations.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Nice job, Chief.
On the agenda, I'm going to step down as chairman, so I put down a reorganization of the Board of Selectmen. I have some issues at home with my parents, and my new job is not, it's a lot of hours. I love it, but it's a lot of hours. So I will hand the gavel, the imaginary gavel, over to the town manager to take motions. I'm not going anywhere.
I didn't see that coming, Ken, to be honest with you. I
down
didn't
there
prepare
somewhere.
my speech, so. Okay, well, seeing where Ken's not going to do this, I would ask for any nominations for chairman from any members of the board.
I will nominate Bob Manning for chairman.
Is there a second to that?
I will second.
Are there any other nominations for chair at this time? Hearing none, I will accept a vote on the motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, other than Bob? We're good? Okay, thank you. And that being completed, I would also ask for nominations for vice chairman at this time.
I nominated Tom Conley for vice chair.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote on Tom Conley as vice chairman. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Then I hand the gavel back to the new chairman. Congratulations, Bob.
Where am I sitting, guys? It's in the middle and then these...
Yeah, you guys all it. Don't you want the TV?
Oh, name tags?
Yeah, we'll switch them all. Okay.
I just first want to thank Ken Coyle for the service to the town that he's done through all the years of services.
I'm not going anywhere, so...
But I also just want to thank him for the service he's done for this board. I think he's done a very adequate job at leadership, and I appreciate everything he's done, and I still look forward to working with him going forward in the future.
Adequate, huh? That's what I get? Adequate. Wow.
I heard that.
You pick on all the words, don't you?
C plus.
You didn't burn the place down.
Okay. I'll learn. Public appointments. We have a 6:35 appointment for Southfield Redevelopment Authority Board of Directors. I think there are two candidates. Kyle Dezersberg and Kevin Donovan. Are they here? I would like to ask both of you to come to the podium and just give us a list of your job history and why you think you would be a good appointment to the board. Kyle, you want to go first?
Good evening.
Hey, Cal.
How you doing? My name's Kyle Justberg.
Your address?
Excuse me?
Your address?
216 High Street.
Thank you.
Lifelong resident of Abington. Also a business owner. My experience is in real estate sales and real estate development. I have attended the last meeting on the 5th to kind of get an idea, as well as spoken to Chris Aiello to get an idea of what they expect from us and what the job entails. My plan would be to serve in the best interests of Abington and report back to the Selectmen with summaries after the meetings, as well as meet with you guys whenever you feel necessary.
Anybody on the board have any questions? None?
Not yet.
None? Okay. Thank you, Carl.
Okay.
Kevin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the members of the board. For the record, Kevin Donovan, 78 Adams Street. And I know you have before you a copy of my resume, which I have submitted, and which delineates my qualifications and what I have done in the past several years. I'd like to call your attention to two items on the resume in particular. One, where I served previously in 1998 to 1999 as a member of the original Board of Directors of South Shore Tri-Town, representing the town of Rockland when I was the town administrator. The selectmen at that point wanted me, because that was a brand-new corporation that was established, to represent the town in that regard. And then further down, from 2009 to 2014, I served as Chief Executive Officer for South Shore Tri-Town. Now, if I could, I'd like to give you a very brief history. South Shore Tri-Town, the Naval Air Station at South Weymouth, was under the Department of the Defense from 1941 to 1996. In 1996, it was closed under the Base Realignment Closure Act. And as a result of that, the three communities, Weymouth, Rockland, and Abington, got together with a lot of input and a lot of time. I know Joe Shea was one of the original people that were involved in the planning process as a member of the planning committee. And we developed legislation that was enacted in 1998 that established the South Shore Tri-Town Development Corporation. The corporation itself was given powers by the legislature to act as a municipality within the confines of the base. We had all the powers of a Board of Selectmen, Planning Board, Zoning Board, Water and Sewer Commission, and we were charged with the complete establishment of a municipality from the ground up. In 2009, when I was hired as the Chief Executive Officer, there was nothing there, literally nothing. Most of the land there was under the care, custody, and control of the Department of Defense. There was no way to transit the base in terms of infrastructure. By the time I left, we had worked with the Department of Defense through many meetings, both in Boston and going down to Washington at the Pentagon, flying to Philadelphia with the regional office of the Navy is, and we were able to transfer a lot of the remaining land that was under the care of the Navy to South Shore Tri-Town. With that, in corollary fashion, we negotiated with, at the time, the Patrick administration for funding to provide for a roadway across the base. So we were able to construct the roadway across the base, which was important in order to develop it. By the time I left, the roadway was completed, we had most of the land was transferred from the Navy, and we had, at the time, 600 residential units there. Since that point, they've added a lot more residential units. The original legislation in 1998 was in place till about 2014. A new developer came in and indicated that they wanted a little bit different mode of dealing with the development. So again, a lot of effort went into it. In 2014, the legislature passed a new act. They reconstituted and renamed it. So it used to be South Shore Tri-Town. It's now the Southfield Redevelopment Authority. They increased the board of directors from 5 to 9. And the original appointee from Abington was Jim Lavin. Upon his untimely death, Chris Aiello took over. And now that Chris is resigning, this will be the third representative from Abington. So I present to you my qualifications, my knowledge. I can tell you that it is a very complex project. There are a lot of spinning wheels at one given time, and I do feel as though I have the experience, I have the institutional knowledge, having dealt with the Department of Defense, and there's still remaining land that has to be transferred, that has to be cleaned up. One of the problems with the cleanup is that the last phase of it included where the maintenance facility is as you go in on Shea Drive to the left-hand side, but also the firefighter training area. The EPA had established firefighting foam as what they called an emerging contaminant, which means they haven't classified it as a contaminant, but it was emerging, and therefore it was subject to cleanup provisions. So once those are in the phase, then the remaining land can be transferred and further developed. There is a plan. It's supposed to be residential component as well as a commercial component. We in the towns have always argued that to make this work, there has to be the commercial component. The developer has not done that yet. I think it's incumbent upon the board at Tri-Town to insist that the commercial component has to go forward because that is what the towns voted on both in 1998 and what the new legislation requires as well. So from that standpoint, I offer you, my experience in that regard, and I was on the original board. I served as the chief executive officer, which is a position similar to that of town manager, for a period of 5.5 years. So I do have that knowledge, and I offer my services back to the town.
Any questions for Kevin? No? Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Chris Aiello, you're here, right? Yes. Could I ask you to come up and just give us a little overage of your experience, what you experienced, just so they have some clue, and then members of the board will understand what you've been doing since you took over the job?
Would also like to thank you for your service, too, by the way.
Pleasure's been all mine. You're welcome. So, like Kevin mentioned, back in 2014, the legislation changed, and when it went from Tri-Town to South Shore Redevelopment Authority, it reduced our role a little bit. Essentially, what we are now is a planning board, no, I'm sorry, a zoning board of appeals and a conservation board. And the bonds are paid through a fee structure paid by the developer that run through our office. So we manage a small staff of, we have an executive director, a land planner, and a part-time treasure collector. And so basically, you know, we go through periods where we're really busy, and there's always something to do, but some periods are busier than others depending on what's going on down there for development. So essentially, you're a ZBA, a conservation board, and we have a small office staff that we manage or supervise.
Does the board have any questions for Chris? Chris, I want to thank you as the new chairman, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen for the service you've given to the town. We greatly appreciate it.
Yep, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Joe? I have a couple words if you don't mind. Joe, please come up and name an address, please.
Joseph Shea, 3 Wyman Road, Abington. As Kevin mentioned, I am involved with the base actually since I joined the Selectmen in 1990 when we were starting to plan what would happen if it did close. It is a very complex subject, and there are many different moving parts on it. As Chris mentioned, the new legislation gave less control to the board of directors and more power to, in my opinion, more power to the developer, which I don't think is working as well as we like, especially this issue that Kevin raised on when there's very little commercial going on down there. The first industrial group is opening in a month, but there's been articles in the newspaper that some of the new residents are saying they were promised there would be stores there where they could go shopping for food with banks and so forth, and nothing there yet. And we need that, number one, to have a good residential use down there, because it's supposed to be a mixed use, but it benefits, because we're now talking 3,800 people, 3,800 units, which could be well over 7,000 or 8,000 people. So they need things down there for that purpose, and also because the towns will make money, will make revenues if there is commercial and industrial there. One other thing, whoever a representative of Abington has to push, as well as in Rockland, but especially Abington, all the development right now is going on in Weymouth. There are no plans at this point that I know of to do any development in Abington. We have zoned it as commercial industrial, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Under the old plan, the revenues were supposed to be divided between the 3 towns. Under the new plan, we only get what is fiscally built in Abington. And I think one problem we have is the current setup of the board of directors. Abington still has 1 member. Weymouth now has 3.5 members. And Weymouth has fairly good ties to the people who are representing the Chamber of Commerce or the labor unions. So, but in my opinion, the development process at this point is heavily favoring Weymouth. And Abington is not getting much out of it. I mean, I still have the concerns I've raised with the fire chief here at the last meeting we had with the board, the new executive director. We have development going up there without enough water for fire suppression. The issue of water is a major issue. I think we need strong members of the board of directors who can push to make sure that the interests of the overall area and of the individual communities can be dealt with. It is a major responsibility, and we still have a long way to go up there, in my opinion. Anyone have a question for me?
Thank you, Joseph.
Yep.
So, does the board feel we're ready to make an appointment? Does the board feel they have enough information in front of them to make an appointment to the South Shore Redevelopment Authority?
I just want to find out, what are we appointing to until August of next year? I got the email today, so whoever we appoint to today be
Yeah.
renewed, or we have to do this again in August next year?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I needed to know.
So I believe we're finishing the term, and then we'll reappoint someone, and I believe that's a 3-year appointment the next time we go through that?
Correct. The
Okay.
next August, it'll be a 3-year. Well, the initial appointment was 5. Subsequent appointments under legislation are only for 3.
Okay.
We can look that again. So I would like to open up the nominations. Ken?
I'd just like to state that one of my last official acts as chairman was to send out to the board what the state in the legislation that created the SRA board is looking for attributes for the town to appoint. And it says, if you don't mind, I'll read it.
Please do.
The town appointees shall have demonstrated expertise in education and experience in one or more of the following areas: real estate development, housing, finance, planning, or engineering. The town shall cooperate to ensure that the appointment of directors from as many of the foregoing disciplines as possible. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that, and the people watching on TV were aware of that, too.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome.
So, does anyone want to nominate someone for the position? Speak out or ever hold your peace. Kevin? Ken?
Kevin? No.
Ken?
I'd like to nominate Carl DeJuiceberg. I believe his business experience, and even Joe and Kevin agreed, we need a commercial component up there. I think that his business experience, and obviously he's a small businessman in Abington for years, real estate development, housing, I think fits as many of the disciplines. So I would nominate Carl.
I have a nomination for Carl. Do I have a second on that? Does anybody else have any nominations?
I'll nominate Kevin Donovan.
We have a nomination for Kevin Donovan. Do we have a second for that? It's kind of hard to nominate, appoint someone if we don't have seconds, gentlemen. So, I mean, it's,
I'll second Kevin Donovan.
I have a second for Kevin Donovan. Do we have a second for Carl?
Let's make it a brawl. I'll second Carl.
Brawl?
Oh, what? Jeez.
All right, all in favor of appointing Carl DeJuiceberg to the Southfield Redevelopment Authority Board of Directors, say aye.
Aye.
Two. All of those who would like to appoint Kevin Donovan, say aye. Aye. 3-2.
Appears to be.
Appears to be 3-2. I want to thank Carl for your interest. I appreciate you coming forward, and congratulations, Kevin. Thank you very much. Remember what he said. Just remember what he said. We have an appointment to the Ames Knoll Advisory Committee. Andrew Levant, Jim Dombrowski, Paul Bunker, Dennis Bergen, Chris Lagabinina, Chris Schultz, and Carl DeJuiceberg. Is this just a final approval? I apologize for going backwards, but Ken...
How many members at large are we allowed to have?
3. You get to appoint 3 tonight, and tonight the planning board is appointing a member, and the Park and Recreation Commission will be meeting later this week to appoint a member. So 3
So 3.
of the
Okay.
candidates.
So we only have to pick 3 of this list,
Yes.
correct?
3.
We're gonna have another rumble, too?
I think we have to start one.
Brawl, sorry.
Does anyone want to nominate someone from this list?
I'd like to hear from as many that are here as before.
Are they all here? Is everyone here who wants to be on the committee?
1, 2, 3, 4.
I know it's a lot, but there's,
Okay, then I'm not in a disagreement, Tim, so if you could please just come up one at a time and just express your interest as to why you'd like to be appointed to the Ames Knoll Advisory Committee. You can do it in any order you want, or I can go alphabetical. But I'm not going to start with you, Chris. I'm going to pick you last, just because I have to. Who wants to be first? Anybody? Thank you, Carl.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Kyle Justberg, 216 High Street. When I saw the email for this board, I thought it was a good pick for me because I grew up on Linwood Street. I know Ames Knoll like the back of my hand. I've been going there since I was a kid. My kids have gone there. I take my dog there. And, you know, it's always had a special place in my heart for Ames Knoll. So it's just on that reason alone that I'm interested.
Thank you very much, Carl. Who's next? Who wants to step up? Dennis?
If you talk in your accent and say you grew up on Linwood Street, I'm
I
not going
know.
to believe it.
It's just not going to work if I say that I grew up. But I'm sorry, it's the end of the day, so I actually wrote down my notes. But I can't say that I grew up here, right? But I have been here a little over 20 years. And when I first came, I would get on my bike and cycle up to Ames Knoll and fish. And then as my family grew up, we would go and hear stories from Andrea Lovett. And we go fishing and walking. And then Connor, with Chris Schultz in his scout troop, actually did his Eagle project there. His Eagle project was cleaning up, Mr. Manning knows, his Eagle project was cleaning up the park, so with all the other scouts. So I have a family, interest in that. It's I still go there, and for my son, actually, it introduced him to DCR, who he works for every summer. He does park and recreation up in University of Maine, but every summer you'll see him on the Harbour Islands running, and he got that really from himself, through his own contacts. But it was working in Ames Knoll, so for our family, it's a great place. So I suppose I certainly dealt with it when I was on the Conservation Commission. We dealt with it with an issue of utilities. But I was going to say something else. I was going to say that I believe that everything happens for a purpose. And the interest of DCR in Ames, the renewed interest, comes at an incredibly exciting time in our town of Abington. You'll know that Massasoit State Park has just been opened again this summer, has been laid fallow for the last few years. DCR has revitalized it and opened it. The trustees have extended their reservations in Easton and Norwell. It's a really exciting time. And in our town, we're in the midst of a huge amount of construction, as you know. There's over 500 work permits before the building inspector. There's more and more apartment units. You just saw them, I'm sure, in your work. So it's an incredibly exciting time. But it's a time when all our resources are being a little bit stressed, and we need places to go to. This weekend, I went to go back to Ames Knoll for my walk, and I walked on the paths. I've got to say that this was on Sunday. The parking lot was packed, the first parking lot packed on Sunday. And I saw, reminded me of me and Connor, I saw a dad with his little boy walking off to go fishing, and another dad helping his daughter with a tackle box. I saw some cyclists. There's 15 miles of trails. It's 600 acres, I think, the actual area, 15 miles of trails. I saw plenty of people walking their dogs, which has always been a criticism, but I got to tell you, I didn't really see any, dog poop, which Ames Knoll has a reputation of doing, but actually there wasn't that. But I did see other things. I saw trash, so quite a bit of trash. I saw graffiti. And the poor DCR guy, I remember when he was working with Connor, was saying this is, there's one or two guys that are forever sneaking in there. And then the trails themselves, so we were just talking about this, Chris and I, before the meeting, for the scouts and all. They're tired. It's a tired Park. It's a fantastic place, and as Abington gets bigger, as it will, and as more people live here in Abington as they are going to, places like Ames Knoll and Island Grove are going to become more and more important. So it's just a fantastic idea to revitalise it. And I was going to say that I'm very excited to get the opportunity to apply before you to be on the board, on the committee of it. Thank you very much for letting me share.
Thank you, Dennis. Anyone else before Chris speaks?
Paul Bunker, 19 Peregrine Road.
Thank you, Paul.
Lifelong Abington resident. I grew up on Linwood Street, 406. My parents still live. I have other family lives on Linwood Street, so I'm always in the area. I'm always in the park hiking with my wife, my son, mostly my dog, though. She doesn't talk as much.
You know, this is televised.
She's not watching.
All right.
No, so I grew up in the park. My earliest memories as a kid were going on the seesaw, the swing set, the sandbox, all of which have been gone for 20, 30 years now. And I could bore you guys with memories all night, but...
I've already been bored, so...
Wow. It doesn't stop at this point. Wow.
Oh, tough room. No, but we should be talking about the future and what we can do to bring upgrades. Like everyone's been saying, the trails are worn out. You know, there's the markings for the trails are sparse. If you want to try and make the loop all the way around, you almost need a smartphone to do it now. So whatever I could do to bring improvements, using some of my contacts at DCR through work, whatever it takes.
Thank you very much.
Like I said, I've been a resident for 39 years now. I've always wanted to get on a board to donate my time, so.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else before Chris speaks? Chris, would you like to come up and?
Cheryl's going to kill me because I'm running late for a committee meeting.
I'm not going to say a word.
Okay. I'm Chris Schultz, 23 Niles Street. I've been Scoutmaster of the Boy Scout troop here in Abington for the last 8 years. And along with Dennis's son, I've had 3 other Scouts do projects up at Ames Knoll. As a Scout leader, I'm obviously interested in the environment, the outdoors. I camp pretty much every weekend. I know a few other leaders who are members of the DCR, and Ames Knoll is a fantastic resource that is underutilized and underattended. So any chance that I would have to provide any help in bringing that resource into the future for our youth and for the citizens of this community and the greater community, anything I can do to help, I'd be happy to.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else present who'd like to? All right. Well, it's round 2, gentlemen. We need to appoint 3, I believe it? 3. So I'll take nominations for names for appointments.
I'd like to nominate Chris Schultz.
Anybody else?
You want me to give you 3, or?
If you want.
In that case, I'll nominate Chris Schultz, Carl DeJustberg, and Dennis Bergen.
Any seconds?
I'll second all 3.
Any other offerings?
So I'll nominate Paul Bunker.
We have a second for Paul Bunker?
I'll second Paul Bunker.
Are there any other nominations? Do we want to take these one at a time, or do we want to take them as a group? Because everyone got 2 votes so far, so.
I think you have to take them one at a time.
Okay, so do I have a vote for, all in favor for Carl DeJustberg?
Aye.
Aye.
4. Dennis Bergen?
Aye.
2. Paul Bunker?
Aye.
Aye, it's 3. And Chris Schultz?
Aye.
All right. So with that, Chris, Carl, and Paul, welcome to the being on a committee. And I want to thank Dennis here for interest in showing. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So someone's going to contact them about their meeting? With someone being? Okay.
Yes.
So Chris, Paul, and Carl, you're on. Thank you very much for service. Appreciate it. Looking forward to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, Mr. Richard Shepherd, approval for one-day liquor license, November 3rd, 2018, the Senior Center. Is there anyone here to talk to that?
I am.
Thank you.
Rick Shepherd, 148 Russell Lane.
Thank you.
Rotary Club of Abington holds fundraisers throughout the year. Thank you very much for the earlier mention of the auction, and we're looking forward to that. We are going to conduct a second fundraiser in the month of November. I think I provided some information on that, kind of a dinner theater type of presentation. I had approached the Abington Senior Center about using their facilities for that, and they graciously extended their facilities to us. So we'll proceed with that on the 3rd. There was a question about whether we would be offering beer and wine with the dinner portion, and after some internal discussion, we decided that we might as well. Suzanne up at the Senior Center had recommended this outfit out of Middleborough that had done work with them before, and so we did contact them, and they very generously extended an offer to come down at waiving their fees for us for the evening. But there was a clause in there that about getting a one-day liquor license. And so I talked to Dory earlier in the week and asked her how one goes about doing that, and here I am.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Just make a comment. The Lions Club has, for 6 years straight, has rented the hall in the summer. We've used Bartending Services of New England, and they're a great organization. They're very helpful and
Excellent.
very good to charities. So with that being said, I will make a motion to approve a one-day liquor license. The hours are just from 5 to 7? Is that what you want?
That's right.
From 5 to 7. One-day liquor license on November 3rd at the Abington Senior Center.
Do you want to have a second for that?
I'll second that.
And just so it's going to be, no, so just discussion, just wine, beer, and soft drinks?
That's correct.
Okay, I saw that, but I just want to double check. So.
Are there any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Good luck.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Unanimous? We have a Mr. Jardine for approval for Gerardo's entertainment license.
Should have done all in one shot when it was the last time. You guys asked me.
We were too concerned with the whole sushi and
The sushi and
steakhouse, but,
sushi and Italian food
I've
issue,
been-
I think that's what we were concerned with.
Yes, Alfredo.
Yes, been there though, it's great.
Serve meatballs with sushi.
So far, so good. So what'd you like to do?
Yeah, I'd like to see if I can have the entertainment license for Gardino's. Have some maybe trivia nights or some stuff. Maybe a local band or something.
Anyone from the board have any questions?
What would the hours would be that you'd have live music?
Well, it's gonna be from 9 to 12. I haven't talked to anybody about it yet because I don't have the license yet. So my idea was to have about maybe 9 to 12 or 9 to 11:30, like a couple nights a week. I'm not even sure what nights. Still gotta contact local people and see what they.
But you're asking for approval for Monday, pretty much every night of the week, just in case?
Exactly, just in
Okay.
case, because you never know when people are available. I haven't really talked to anybody about it yet.
Would that be out in the back room?
Yes, in the back room.
So now I'm seeing on this application, it says Friday and Saturday, 9:30 PM.
That's what they put on them. I'm really looking for, I'm not sure if it's gonna be Friday, Saturday. Most people are busy those days. I'm not sure if we're gonna be, I'm looking for like every day of the week. I'm not gonna have every day of the week, but I'm looking to have.
Right. I'm just thinking, because you mentioned 9 o'clock start, and now.
Yeah, 9:30 or something.
Okay.
We gotta talk
Just
to
wanna
this.
make sure we're on the same page.
I gotta talk to these people and see what they, once I get the license.
So on your license application, just so we can clarify, the proposed hours is Thursday, 8 to 11:30, Friday, 9:30 to 12:30 a.m., Saturday, 9:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m., and then Sunday, 8 p.m. to 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, but yeah.
Those would be the hours
Yeah,
you'd be
those would
allowed
be
to
the
have
hours.
entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that'll be good, that'll be fine.
Did you want to change, Friday, 9:30, I guess?
No,
I'm getting
9:30 should
old
be
and-
fine, 9:30
Okay.
should be fine. I don't wanna get any, just.
I just want to save you a third trip back here. If you start at 9:30,
No, 9:30 should be good. I don't want, we have to then a crowd, I don't wanna have any, conflict anyway, so.
I noticed that the chief and the business inspector are there any other issues with granting this license?
Just the vote should be contingent upon all taxes being up to date, but there were no issues whatsoever.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board? I'll take a nomination to allow a entertainment license for Giordano's.
I will motion that.
Tim motions it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Tom seconds it. Is there any further to discuss?
Just contingent upon taxes.
And as Ken just approved it, and as it was stated, it's contingent upon all taxes being up to date and paid in full. Is there anything else to be said? If not, I'll take a vote. All in favor of granting a license?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. 5-0. Good luck. I hope to see you again not too soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is Attorney Kathleen Muncy, Chapter 61A, Notice of Intent to Sale or Others of 162 Linwood Street. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Kathy Muncy. My office is in Plymouth, and I represent Ryerson LLC, and several Ryerson family members are here. And under Chapter 61A, the selectmen have a right of first refusal if it comes out of the chapter. And that's what we're doing. We have a purchase and sales agreement to sell to a developer for 4 lots that was just endorsed. The plan was just endorsed by the planning board. And you have a period of time to decide whether or not to purchase it or not. We're hoping that you'll decline,
Thank you.
unless you're interested.
Are there any questions from the board?
Just, if I could, maybe, I mean, I can probably try, well, you can let the town manager explain what's happening here to people that are watching it on TV, because it's a little confusing, but this is basically how the town ended up purchasing Griffin's Dairy. So, through the chair, I don't know if you want to do that, but...
Mr. Town Manager?
Sure. The intent of Chapter 61A is essentially to facilitate and maintain agricultural land in Massachusetts. In doing so, the valuation of farmland or agricultural land isn't set by the local Board of Assessors. It's actually set by the Farmland Advisory Commission, and I would say not just generally, but almost exclusively, the land value is less than what you would be appraised for or locally. In exchange for that benefit, the board of the local executive authority, whether it be a mayor or a city council or a board of selectmen, ultimately has the right of first refusal to purchase that land. It's somewhat of a quid pro quo for the benefit of it being essentially, not to be insulting, but undervalued for a period of time. So that's why it comes to the Board of Selectmen as a right to first refusal under Chapter 61A when it's removed from that chapter and basically becomes part of what the local assessment process.
But it's just the 4 lots, it's not the house. They're retaining the house.
And I think you mentioned that there's a time frame that the
You have 120 days from the time that I give you notice.
120 days? Does the board have any other questions? Does the board have any concerns before
I just have, the only concern I have is that it's kind of dropped in our lap right now, and we don't really have, I mean, I'm ready to vote for it, but, I mean, before with Griffin's Dairy, we were able to research it and see whether it was worth our while to buy it, you know, that sort of stuff. I asked for the price, and I received the price. I'm not sure if we're allowed to talk about what the price is on TV, but the town...
Required to file that, so it is public record.
No, we have it. It wasn't in my original document. But, so basically, we, as a board, without any input from other boards, whether it be the Park and Rec or Conservation, have to make that decision. And I'm okay with that, but I just want to make it known that there is CPA funds available if we wanted to purchase it for open space. It's kind of broken up now, so maybe it might not be the best thing. I personally don't think it's the best thing, but there are other options. So I just want to make it clear that we could, as a town, delay this process and if anybody was interested in it. But I don't think we have any input from the Park and Rec or any other boards. So that's my only concern. But I'm prepared to vote, so.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask him, would you like input from the other boards before you even voted on it, though?
No, but it would have been nice to have something in front of us that said the Park and Rec is not interested in this land for a park in that area of town. Or it would have been nice to have, you know, we're talking about a new fire station. We're talking about increasing our seniors' housing, you know? So it would have been nice to have had in front of us saying, nobody in town really wants it, they don't want to pay this much for it. You know, we have to, if we want to buy it, we have to match the price that's been agreed on by the developer that's buying it. And sometimes towns buy this stuff. I mean, it's a perfect example is up the street here. We bought that piece of property so it wouldn't get developed. Same thing with Griffin's Dairy. I know it's only 4 house lots, but I just, you know, I just wanted to point that out. So that's all. Just me rambling.
No, that's a good point.
Is there any other comments from the board? I don't think that's a awful bad idea for the Board of Selectmen to ask us to see if there's anyone interested in the town for this property before we make a final vote. So I'd like to put this vote off until our next meeting at least, if not to the meeting after that. I know we're having a second meeting in September, but either the second meeting in September or the meeting in October, we'll place a vote for this then.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
So we're going to put this on hold until then.
But did you want to take a vote? Did you want to take a vote from the board for that, or do you want to make a decision by yourself?
No, I think I'd like to make a decision by myself, but that's probably not the right thing to do. So I'm going to ask if the board agrees that we should delay this decision until we have some information back from the other boards in the town.
When is your next date?
When's our next meeting scheduled?
24th.
24th?
Yeah, that's the
You want to check that calendar?
That's the second. It's the 10th.
24th. Yeah, 24th.
Okay. I'll take a motion, if anyone's interested in making one, to continue this discussion.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Does anyone want to second it?
I'll second it.
Tim seconds that. Any further discussion?
I'd like to make another motion that we not exercise our right of first refusal and allow this purchase and sales to proceed.
I will second that motion.
Okay, so we have 2 motions.
The reasoning being is I think that the price is going to be too steep for this property. That's just a personal, I mean, you can always go to other boards and ask them, but there's plenty of open space available in Abington if people want to develop out their areas. The town wanted them. And we're in the process of actually selling off lots that are not needed. So that's just my opinion.
I don't know, we can ask.
You can.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, good.
Are there any residents currently here that want to have a comment? Does anyone want to speak to the board about this at all? I'm offering it out to anyone who's a resident that wants to speak on this. You? Okay. Yeah. So we have 2 motions. I'm going to act on the first motion, if it's all right with everyone. The first motion is to delay our decision until we have some further information from other town boards. I have a Tom and Tim, 2 votes, so I'll take a motion to delay the vote until we have more information. All in favor say aye. Aye. And I think that takes care of it, because 3 to, so I think we'll delay the decision until either our next meeting or the meeting in October.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did we do public comment already? I apologize. Ken? I recognize Ken.
Since you've delayed that, did you want to ask the town manager to solicit opinions from
Yes.
certain boards, or all boards in town, or?
We will do that also with department heads too, just so there's nobody misses an opportunity to comment if they should choose.
I'd like to get to everybody.
Yes.
Please and thank you. Thank you very much, Ken. Did we do public comment?
We don't do anything by that. We don't.
I don't know, I'm going to open up the public comment if there's a public comment to be had. No. Next thing on the agenda is the approval of the August 13th, 2018 open and executive session meetings. We'll take them in order of how they were done, open first. We have a motion for the Board of Selectmen minutes for August 13th, 2018.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Who's that? Jim? Anything further to say? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Now for the minutes of the executive session. There's always excuse me, Ken, there's always language with this.
To be held until all matters are resolved?
Yes, thank you very much. I take a motion for the Board of Selectmen's minutes on August 13th for the executive session.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Jim makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Anything further to say? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Town manager's report, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a few items. Number one, the police station siding, as I note here, that recently the building has begun to, some of the siding has begun to fall off. We've been informed, or it's been estimated, that the cost of replacing the siding could be in excess of $100,000. This building, as you all know, is 10 years old. The existing warranties, we're not sure if they can still be applied, even though they were in a shorter time frame. This issue just became known within the last month or so, the extent of which we've been trying to determine. We have dug up the old warranty information, the old contract with the general contractor, and we have forwarded to our legal counsel to determine what recourse we may have. The building inspector has informed us that he does not believe that the siding was up to an existing code at that time. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but that obviously would create hopefully some liability, either by the design professional who signed off on it or the subcontractor. So again, that's why we thought it was complicated enough to ask legal counsel for some input, especially where the costs could be, as you can see, quite significant. The Riley Field track was just awarded this week to one of our two bidders, all within the appropriation by the town. This is, again, CPC funds, so that will be moving forward quickly. And I think you could all see that the material for the repair of the Excedra monument out by the Rotary has already been put in place, so we hope within a couple of weeks that repair will also be completed, as well as our granite curbing here at Town Hall, which I know is a tremendous inconvenience for people in the short term, but it's a project that was well needed from a liability standpoint, so we're happy that that's moving forward too.
Rick, on that topic, I noticed there was a line of bricks that had been removed when they put the curbing in. Is that going in on the back side of it, or those bricks that were pulled?
I think those bricks were going to remain pulled. Again, I'm not positive, but I think the curbing is sufficiently wide that I don't think those bricks are going to be replaced. But we can ask that question and let you know. I don't have that's my understanding.
Okay.
I actually talked to Glenn the other day about that, and he said he was putting them back in.
Oh, all of them? Okay, 'cause I
Yeah,
wasn't
it
sure.
almost looks like, I just walked down it coming in, and it looks like they've been put back in. But,
I don't know, I just noticed
Yeah,
that there was
yeah.
a stack on the back.
Yeah,
well, I
like I
didn't
say,
see
well,
that stack. I knew
Okay.
there was a stack along.
No, it's just a stack on the last course of brick going into the building.
Yeah.
It just seemed to be stacked on top of the course of brick, so,
well, we can, we'll confirm that. And
thank you very much.
Send that out. I don't want to go through all of these, but one of the subjects that I think had all concerned a little bit was kind of a review of how the primaries went at the high school last week, primary election. And there was a lot of people in this space in a very short period of time. And some of the conclusions we received from our school superintendent, town clerk, and police chief is that it's really not feasible, in their opinion, or not, we'll say, the most opportune thing to do to have elections while our children are inhabiting the school during the day. Obviously, no one really knew how difficult it could be until this recent primary. I know going forward, the town clerk, in conversation with both the chief as well as the school superintendent, are going to ask the selectmen for 2020 to switch the election, the polling location from the high school probably to Emerald Hall again. 2019 shouldn't be much of an issue, simply because the elections are going to be on Saturdays, so the high school should be appropriate at that time. So again, some of my notes here, I know you've read, but generally, the location of the high school is just not suitable while school is in session. As it is, the school does cancel school for, will, for instance, this November, and in the past, they've done the same, even in the old high school. But school superintendent's concerned, how many times a year can you close school, considering how tough it is to get? Doesn't take much, especially in the winter, to lose school days. So that's the general consensus. So at some point next year, the town clerk will be seeking permission from the board to move the polling location. So.
Does the board have any questions? Ken?
I just have a concern about, I would really prefer to have the election in the same spot, every election. I mean, you move one, I know it might be only every 2 years, but I would really like to work. We know when the primary is going to be years ahead of time. I think it's important that we have the election in the same spot. You know, I hate to, I see the point of moving it for that day, but I would think, I know we can't change the date of the election, but that being said, I think it's important that we have it in the same spot. We have a beautiful, gym there, and if we have to close the school, I know the school committee, the school superintendent works very well with you and in our board, so I would think that 2 years from now, we should really personally think that we should have one place for elections and stick to it.
I happen to agree with you.
And my wife will kill me, but I agree with Ken too about closing school for the day.
About what? Closing the school? Well, I don't agree with closing the school for a day, but I do, I mean, I
Well, you
think we
can't-
gotta figure
you
out
can't keep
something,
it
but.
there
well,
and stay
I mean, they
open.
put in more fields than they did parking for, and that was one of the problems, I mean.
We can't undo
still
that.
more
Yeah,
fields.
Okay. Next thing on our agenda is to go, enter into executive session. To do that, we have to have an individual vote. Is that correct, Ken?
Yes, and you have to read exactly that motion. I mean, I can make the motion, I'll read it if you'd like.
If you'd please.
Yes, absolutely. I will make a motion to enter an executive session for the purpose of strategy negotiations pertaining to non-union personnel, collective bargaining update, and not to reconvene to open session.
Thank you, Ken. Jim?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bob, yes.
Tim seconded that motion.
Tim seconded that motion also? Thank you very much.
Sorry, I had water in my mouth.
I heard you, Greg.
Thank you.